Hey guys, what's up? Scottish Duck here once again. Right, I feel like I'm being called upon to do this video, okay? It's something I've been thinking about like so much over the past few weeks or something, that I feel like if I don't just get in front of the camera and talk about it a bunch, I'll just keep it all bottled up and be like, oh, just fucking talk about it all. But yeah, I want to do like a little year review for SEGA in 2018. Now, again, whenever I get the chance to, I'll pretty much always do videos on SEGA. That's pretty much what the focus of my channel's been for a good while now. But this is also kind of another follow-up to a video that I did last year, where it was like, I believe it was called 2017 was actually pretty good for SEGA. You know, it was a very nonchalant title, but I remember I got to the end of 2017, just looked back on the year and was like, you know, SEGA did quite good this year, you know? And, yeah, I also need to point out that 2017 was the year where I kind of started giving a shit about SEGA again, after being in the huff with them for like a good number of years. I want to say since like 2012, 2013. Obviously I still followed the company and gave a shit about what they were coming out with, but I wasn't like, you know, keeping my eye on them the way I am now, because now I'm just like, right, what are they going to do now? Are they going to do this good? Are they going to fuck this up? Etc, etc. So, yeah. 2018 overall, I'd say, was, again, another good year. For those of you that don't know, SEGA, at least SEGA of Japan, have really been touting about something called Road to 2020, where they basically want to release a whole bunch of games between now and 2020, including new IPs and like taking advantage of their old IPs as well. And yeah, like look at this pile right here. Okay, here's what we got to get through. This is all like SEGA games released in 2018, you know. So I got a lot that I want to just like talk about. So I'm gonna go through them all. I've got them all lined up by release, with the exception of a few like categories that I want to talk about first. But yeah, we're literally just gonna go through each of them, and I want to talk about how good they are with this Road to 2020 initiative. Okay, I just want to say how good it was that SEGA released this game. How was it just something that they would have done anyway? Was it something that maybe they're doing to try and get goodwill of their fans? I don't know. I just want to like generally comment on each of them. So, with that said, let's go, shall we? And but first of all, I want to talk about these two games. Now, these two games are technically SEGA games, but there's a big asterisk next to both of them, right? We got Bayonetta 2 and Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom. I genuinely just finished this like half an hour ago, by the way. I came off of my Switch to do this video. Fucking excellent game, by the way. Really highly recommend it. I do love the Wonder Boy games, but we'll talk about Bayonetta first. Bayonetta, obviously Bayonetta 3 is on the way. Bayonetta is, as was disclosed this year by Hideki Kamiya himself, is a SEGA-owned IP. SEGA owns the character. However, they do not own the publishing rights for this game and presumably Bayonetta 3. So, yeah, SEGA's name, like, their fucking logo's on the back there. So, it is a SEGA game, but it's obviously a bit of a stretch because SEGA, they don't seem to have the biggest, like, interest in funding Bayonetta, if you will. You know, Nintendo keeps, like, saying, no, we'll do it. SEGA's like, okay, mind you that back when you're done, you know. And I don't know how I feel about that, you know. I'd really like it if SEGA would just, like, get the IP back completely. Like, we don't know anything about Bayonetta 3 yet. If they were to come out and say, oh yeah, we're going to fully publish Bayonetta 3, you know, keep it Switch exclusive or whatever, but if they, like, showed that they had complete faith in the project and in the series again, I would feel much more better about them with the current how Bayonetta is being handled, you know, like this whole sharing between Nintendo and SEGA. I don't know, I'd either like one or the other to take it, so, and since we're talking about SEGA, obviously I'd prefer it if SEGA was to do it, so, but yeah, I cannot wait for Bayonetta 3, that will be excellent, but yeah, this was obviously a really good port, and I think it was like the very first game that SEGA had SEGA's name attached to it anyway, it came out in like January. But this, however, just came out like this month, really at the end of the year. And the thing is, right, see Wonder Boy, right, this is... Did you even know that this was a Wonder Boy game? You probably could by looking at it. But the Wonder Boy series is so hard to, like, keep track of in terms of, like, who owns it, who develops it. Because, I mean, just a couple of years ago there, was it a couple of years ago, we had the remake of... I don't think I've got it up here. Oh, wait, I've got the Master System version. We got the remake of this game, Wonder Boy 3, The Dragon's Trap, which I played for the first time a couple of months ago there, by the way. Really, really good. And that was published by .emu and developed by Lizard Cube. This was published by FDG Entertainment and developed by Game Atelier, yet they are both part of the same franchise. Like, it's so confusing, you know, and considering, like, all the other, like, Wonder Boy 3, right? You also have, like, Monsters Lair 3 for the Mega Drive. It's on there. It's such a confusing franchise to follow. But Sega's name is attached to it in some way. I believe that with this one in particular, right? The developers wanted to make a Wonder Boy game, but Sega owns the rights to the Wonder Boy franchise, so they called it Monster Boy. And then partway through development, because this game was in development for a long time, Sega was like, actually, we'll get on with that. And yeah, there's actually like a 30th anniversary logo here for Wonder Boy, and there's loads of like past references to the rest of the series in this game, so it's just real confusing. But I think overall it's sort of like matched Sega's initiative to support older IP, so that's why they decided to help out with it. As far as I know, Sega only really helped with distributing physical copies in America, not over here. This is an American copy, you know. I had to import this, which was annoying. But yeah, that's another one. Either way, this is a fucking excellent game. Really highly recommend you guys check that out. Alright, next up I want to talk about something else that Sega launched this year. Sega Ages. Okay, Sega Ages is a long-running, like, thing that Sega has done, mainly in Japan though, where they just re-release old games, you know? And right now they're using the Sega Ages name to promote their re-releases on the Nintendo Switch. Just the Switch so far for whatever reason, but they've got M2 working on this. M2, absolutely excellent. You know, they know their stuff when it comes to emulating old games. And we got 3 games this year with them. We got Thunder Force 4, Sonic 1, and Phantasy Star. And yeah, definitely like a bit of a slow beginning, I would say. Like, they've released like so much. There's a good like more than 10 games in the pipeline. You know, you got like Outrun coming out next month. You got Puyo Puyo coming, Virtua Racer. You know, loads and loads of stuff to look forward to in that regard, you know. And I hope Nintendo... rather Sega. I hope Sega keeps at it, you know, like we get some other games, you know, more like recent games as well. When I say recent, like Sega Saturn and Dreamcast, if we could get some of those in the Sega Ages lineup, that would be amazing. But it's a pretty decent beginning overall, you know. Can't wait to see more. And the last category I want to go over before we actually start talking about releases was Atlus Remakes. Now, as far as I'm concerned, guys, like, Atlus is Sega and Sega is Atlus now. Like, I used to be... I always get self-conscious about making the distinction. Like, I don't know. I'm just imagining some, like, really avid Atlus fanboys listening to me talk about Atlus games as if they're 100% Sega, and them getting, like, angry, as if to say, no, it fucking isn't it? And I don't know why. That's in my mind most of the time, but fuck it, okay? Sega's Atlus, Atlus is Sega. That's just how I'm going with this now. But Atlus had a very chill year this year. They actually they released one original game, which I'll get to, but they released a bunch of remakes. Reading the Story of Perfect Chronology, Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey Redux, and Dragon's Crown Pro, which I didn't buy. I just played this because it's literally the exact same game, it just has 4K support on PS4. Now, obviously last year, Atlus came in like arms swinging with Persona 5, which was a massive hit. We're going to get Joker and Smash Brothers soon. That still blows my mind. And this year, as in 2019, we're going to get even more from Atlus. We're going to get Shin Megami Tensei 5. We're hopefully going to get 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. Hopefully that comes out. I'm really looking forward to that one. And Catherine... what's it called again? Catherine... Full Body or something? Oh fuck, I can't mind. But we're getting that remake of Catherine as well. But yeah, a lot of remakes this year of much smaller games, it feels. But whatever. Again, you come out with a game like Persona 5 the year before, it's hard to justify saying, well, you better top it this year. So yeah, that's fine. We got these, and they were all really good anyway. Especially loved Radiant Astoria. But okay, now let's actually get to the packaged games in order. So let's go. The first one that came out, and this was my game of the year. I may actually have these. I hope I have these in the right release order. But yeah, Yakuza 6. SEGA, they are still going strong with the Yakuza franchise. You know, they have no means of like slowing down with it, it seems. And yeah, this actually marked a really awesome point in the series. You know, it was the first game to actually sell as well in the West as it did in Japan. Now, I think the Japanese sales for the series, or the Japanese game market in general, has been like shrinking in recent years. Like Japan just is not buying as many games as they used to. You know, this has been a problem for years. So maybe that's a big reason why the West has now overtaken Yakuza sales almost. Obviously, the series is really growing in popularity, and that's brilliant as well. But it was still a nice thing regardless. It just really shows that, yeah, Sega is like making these games, so they're really finding their audience, and I am very, very happy about that. And again, this was like my game of the year. Amazing conclusion to Kazuma Kiryu's story. It's fucking good. It's fucking good. Yakuza 6. So, big thumbs up from me, anyway. Good job, Sega. Now, here's where we start to get somewhat iffy. They also came out with this, the Mega Drive Classics Collection. If there is a console generation, then Sega will release a Mega Drive compilation of some variety on there. Last gen, they released the Sonic Ultimate Mega Drive Collection, I believe it was, for 360 PS3. And now they've released this with technically more games, a bigger number of games, if you don't count some of the extras you also got in that collection. But there's a lot of like more iffy things to do with this, okay? The emulation is, I didn't have big problems with it, but going by what a lot of other people say, the emulation is not great. You know, you hear things like lag, you hear things like input latency. Even like the Switch version, which just came out this month as well, you know, you were getting people saying things about that. And I'm not saying I don't notice it, but it really doesn't like bother me in the same way, I would say. You know, I kind of just like play it and I'm like, okay, yeah, this isn't like as good as real hardware, but it's still extremely functional. You know, like imagine like M2. Okay, M2 are like top tier when it comes to emulation. You know, at least with like Sega consoles. Whereas bottom tier would probably be like At Games. You know, their fucking awful plug and play Mega Drive consoles that they release. Something like this is like definitely closer to M2, but still somewhere in the middle, I would say. If you're looking to play Mega Drive games, you can't go wrong with this, be it on like PC, PS4, Xbox or Switch. It probably should be said actually that this game, it was actually a port of a Mega Drive collection that was on Steam. That's where the whole kids game room aesthetic came from. It was originally developed for that. They just decided to port that over, add some cool little things like a mission mode and a rewind feature and better save states, and just bung it on console. So yeah, overall, they did, D3T, the guys behind this, they did do a good job, and they did patch it eventually. That apparently fixed some of the emulation issues, but you know, it's a Mega Drive games compilation. You know, what more can you really say about it? Apparently a lot, considering how long I went on for. Okay, now, Next up we have that I'm kind of sad to say was probably the worst game that Sega released in 2018. That's Shining Resonance Refrain. Now, even though I say that, right, this game is still, like, way better than, like, the worst games of 2017, okay? Better than Sonic Forces and better than Valkyria Revolution, of which it's by the same people. And this is like a sort of like enhanced version of a PS3 game that was originally Japan only and was part of the Shining franchise, you know, Shining Force, Shining in the Holy Ark, you know, all of those games. And it technically was Sega bringing back an old IP, because it's the Shining series. But you look at it and it's like, is this really the Shining series that I know and love? Not really, not really. This is more of like a really anime-heavy Tales of ripoff, quite frankly. Okay, a very decent one, right? This game is decent, right? It's not bad at all. But I'll keep saying this, the biggest issue with this game is the fact that they released it in a year where there were so many other amazing RPGs to pick from, okay? It came out on the exact same day as Octopath Traveler, okay? Like, it's just, you can't compete with that. Octopath Traveler is fucking brilliant. But again, if you've played all of those RPGs and you're looking for something else to play, maybe something to like tie you over until like the new Tales of game comes out, then by all means go for Shining Resonance Refrain. But it also like represents, I feel, Sega's like attitude towards bringing their games over from Japan, because when this got announced, this HD version I should say, it was still in HD. This PlayStation 4 version of the game got announced. It was announced to come out internationally as well as in Japan. You know, it had like a sort of like same day announcement, and that was like a big deal at the time, at least for me, because it really showed like the sort of Atlus influence, I feel. So yeah, I really did appreciate it. Plus the localization is top notch, as you would expect from Atlus. But yeah, Shining Resonance Refrain, you know, give it a shot if you feel the need. If you feel the need to, basically, you know, you may be disappointed. I wasn't, but yeah, there was other better RPGs in 2018. Okay, next up, a little bit of a cheat. This one actually. Sonic Mania Plus. Now, Sonic Mania came out in 2017, Doug. What the fuck is this on here for? Well, we got this physical version this year, didn't we? Along with the, you know, the new DLC that they came out with. And, yeah, I still count it, you know. It was such a brilliant, brilliant Sonic game, as many of you will know. And the fact that we got a physical version at all, I thought was like, again, it really shows sort of like Sega's attitude to, you know, people wanted it, so they gave us it, you know. To be fair, it wasn't like the most noble thing they could have done. I mean, you put a physical game out of Sonic, folk are gonna fucking buy it, but heck, I wanted it, and I got it, so what can I say? Yeah. So not too much to say on that, it's Sonic Mania, physical version, isn't it? Awesome. Okay, next up, this is one of the more like important things that Sega came out with in 2018. And I can say that with absolute certainty, given what it is. Shenmue 1 and 2 HD Collection. Oh fuck, I remember when this got announced, it was like in April or something. Sega had their Sega FES conference and they were just like, oh yeah, we're coming out with Shenmue 1 and 2 HD. This was like a really big deal, okay? Now, again, it was technically bringing back an older IP, but you can be cynical and say, oh, they just did it because of the Shenmue 3 hype, that, you know, that game's coming out next year, and it actually came out on the same day as the release date for Shenmue 3 was announced. Amazing day for Shenmue fans. But again, it just shows the fact that, you know, it's like, it was so requested for so long, and now we've got it. It's just, again, it shows Sega going in the right direction with their franchises and with their fans, at least in my opinion. And I love it. I love it for that, you know? I really do. The HD collection itself, at least at launch, was a bit iffy. It was perfectly playable, but there was definitely some iffiness to be had. Okay, thankfully it's been patched out now, and works more or less perfectly. But it really should have been that way from the start. You know, I'll always like look at it with that sort of attitude. But then again, it was either this or nothing at all. Well, if it was between this or nothing at all, I should say, obviously, I would have chosen this, 100%. So yeah, Shenmue 1 2 HD, love it, love it. Who'da thunk it? Next up, not too much to say about this one. It is Yakuza Kiwami 2, okay? Now, actually, there probably is a decent amount to say about this, because if Toshihiro Nagoshi's word is to be believed, and why the fuck wouldn't it be, he's the head of the Yakuza studio, this game was actually only made because of the, like, resurgence of Yakuza in the West, you know? Like, they weren't going to make a Kiwami 2, but after Yakuza 0 did so well, they were like, right, let's do Kiwami 2. Take the assets from Yakuza 6, the same way they made the first Kiwami, that took the assets from Yakuza 0, and just retell the story, add a bunch of new content, and there you go. Definitely not as good as Yakuza 6 in my opinion. Like, I actually, Yakuza 1 and 2 I should say, they're not really my favourites, they're kind of my least favourites in the whole series. So I wasn't as hyped about this one as I was, but again, I love the fact that it was actually the Western audience that influenced the creation of this game, you know, and plus, you know, folk who have played Yakuza Kiwami, they want to go into something new. They want to go into the next game. They don't want to go right on to Yakuza 6. By the way, Sega, where are those remasters of 3, 4, and 5? You know, the Western releases, I should say, because they were also only made because of the resurgence of Yakuza in the West, so why the fuck do we not know anything about them yet? Whatever. Yakuza Kiwami 2, yeah, awesome. Okay, now the next game that came out this year, actually, I'm surprised that I remembered this, was like 2 Point Hospital. Now, I remember when this game got announced, okay, like, Sega tweeted like a picture of a light bulb or something, and everybody got excited, you know, speculation was in full swing. Folk thought, oh, Sega's teasing something, this is going to be good, and then they announced it like later that week or whatever, and it was going to be like a spiritual successor to Theme Hospital? I don't know, the game is a spiritual successor to another hospital management game, I can't remember what it was, but that's what it was announced as, and people got pissed, you know, people got so angry. It was like, oh, this is shit, this is why Sega sucks now, and it was like, they literally just hyped up their announcement like they were supposed to, and it worked, but folk obviously got like really high expectations, you know. So that was definitely the thing that stood out to me the most about the game. But then it came out, and I gotta say, I'm really surprised at how well it actually did. Like, the amount of people I saw who were constantly playing 2 Point Hospital, like, folk that I knew, like, in real life, you know, it was just, it actually really took off, and it was just like, wow. And my only connection to the game, because it's not the sort of game that I would play, was that Sega was publishing it. So I was like, okay, this was technically a new IP that Sega was like getting behind, so it does sort of like match their Road to 2020 initiative. So I was just like, yeah, good job, Sega, good job on that. So yeah, like I said, a lot of people really seem to like it. Don't know if I'll ever really play it, but you know, at least it did good for the company who published it. So yeah, here we go. But this game, however, now this probably was the most important game that Sega published in 2018 for a number of reasons. Valkyria Chronicles 4. Now, why was this important? Okay, in my opinion, anyway, they, like, again, just like Shining Resonance Refrain, they announced it, and on the day that they announced it, they said, oh yeah, it's coming out worldwide, you know, America, Europe, and Japan. That's awesome. And it was from a franchise that clearly had, like, a massive resurgence through, they announced they released, I should say, the very first game in the series on Steam, and the game just blew up on Steam. I don't know why. I guess this is what happens when you have like a cult hit and you build up fans over time. It really blew up. Then they released Valkyria Chronicles, the original, on PS4. And then eventually we were told, oh, by the way, we're getting a new game, okay? So, and this was like a year after Valkyria Revolution, which was a massive disappointment. It was just this weird thing MediaVision had like made with this weird art style. It had nothing to do with any of the other games in the series. It was just like, nobody really liked it. So the fact that they went from that to this really shows, okay, they get what it is we want now. Almost to its fault, it is extremely similar to the first game, you know? It definitely looks better, and overall I'd say the gameplay with the new additions that they made make this the overall better game. Story's not as good, in my opinion, but yeah, it was like, clearly Sega saw what it is their fans were wanting. It was just a case of Sega seeing what their fans wanted and delivering on it, and deliver they did. I absolutely love Valkyria Chronicles 4. So yeah, I'm hoping that they continue to support Valkyria Chronicles. I don't necessarily want like Valkyria Chronicles 5 this time next year or in like 2 years' time. If anything, re-release Valkyria Chronicles 2 and 3, Sega, right? That would be your smartest move, I would say. You know, let fans like have all 4 games at their disposal, have them on like all the platforms, you know, like Steam, Switch, all that. Just do that. So yeah, Valkyria Chronicles 4, real important game in my opinion. And next we had a somewhat unexpected but very pleasant surprise in 2018 from Sega. Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise. This is a Fist of the North Star licensed game by the Yakuza team, and it genuinely is just a Yakuza game with Fist of the North Star. It does add its own like unique take on the gameplay. Okay, it does feel different enough, I would think, but at the same time, you know, if you like Yakuza, you're gonna like this, you know, hands fucking down. Yeah, I really got into this. I preferred it to like Yakuza Kiwami 2, if I'm honest. I still don't know much about Fist of the North Star in general. All my knowledge kind of comes from this game, but yeah, it was a real pleasant surprise. That's my best way of putting it. You know, I did not expect to enjoy this as much as I did. I thought it would just be like a distraction, and you know, it's like Yakuza. Fuck it, let's play it, and it really was something more. So yeah, cheers for that, Sega, and I also love this reversible artwork. It's good shit. Okay, and the next game that came out that was in November was Football Manager 2019. That's it. Okay, the fucking thing comes out every year. Clearly somebody likes it, so yeah, good on you, Sega. That's a franchise that you're constantly supporting, I guess. Yeah, Football Manager, goodie. But the last proper game that Sega released in 2018, aside from when you're not counting like Monster Boy and whatnot, was actually this. Persona... What's the full title for this? Persona 3 Dancing in Moonlight, Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight Endless Night Collection. Now, I don't want to harp on this too much, guys, but I totally got buyer's remorse with this collection, okay? First of all, it's like 80 quid, it's like the price of 2 games, you know, because you do get the 2 games. Both games have their own season pass and loads of DLC. You get Persona 4 Dancing All Night with this collection. You know, that was a PS Vita game. They've ported it over to PS4, and you can play it in this now. But you can only access it if you have this collection. You can't buy it individually, which seems shady to me. And this is like the weirdest thing to me. The version that you get with this does not include all the DLC from the Vita game, but if you bought DLC on the Vita game under your PlayStation account, you can re-download it. So it's like, it lets you keep your old DLC, but what's the fucking point if you're re-releasing it? Why don't you just include it all? You know, it's like so weird to me. But yeah, so I mean, obviously it's a very decent rhythm game. Excuse me. You know, plays just fine. It's a good bit of fan service if you're into Persona, which, you know, I am, so I think that's ultimately what made me like, I guess I'll fucking get it, I don't know. But, again, just the way it was handled with its DLC and its pricing and stuff, I feel like they could have done a bit better, you know? Again, that's just me, though. I'm sure a lot of people really do dig it and whatnot, and I haven't really dug my teeth into it that much. I've only played like Persona 5 Dancing for like an hour, so I really should give it a proper chance before I rag on it too much. But yeah, that was Sega in 2018, guys. This was a long video. Fucking losing my voice here. Yeah, let me know if you want me to do like a video about Sega's upcoming games for 2019, because I think I have even more to say on that than I did here. But again, just let me know. Just whatever. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Hope you enjoyed it. See you after, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.